Once lived a peasant named Ivan and his wife Maria. They were old and childless, and it weighed heavy on their hearts. One winter, when the fresh snow lay knee-deep, children were outside sculpting a snow woman. Ivan and Maria watched them silently from the window. Then Ivan smiled.
"Come, wife, let us make a snow woman of our own."
"And why ever not?"
said the old woman gaily.
"Let us have a bit of fun in our old age. But why a snow woman? Let us fashion a child out of the snow, since the good Lord never gave us a living one."
"True enough," said Ivan. He took his cap and went out with his wife into the yard. They began to fashion a child. They made a tiny body, arms and legs, and set a clump of snow on top for a head.
"God be with you," said a passer-by.
"Our thanks to you," Ivan replied.
"And what is it you're making?"
"Well, as you can see,"
said Ivan.
"A snow maiden."
The woman laughed. They fashioned a nose and a chin, and 2 hollows for eyes. No sooner had Ivan traced the mouth than the child began to breathe. She opened beautiful blue eyes, turned her head like a living thing, and kicked her little limbs in the snow, just like a babe in swaddling clothes.
"Oh, Ivan, Ivan!"
the woman cried, full of joy.
"The Lord has given us a child."
She began to embrace the girl. The snow peeled away like an eggshell, and there she was, a real, living girl.
"Oh, my darling snow maiden!"
cried the old woman, hurrying her inside. The snow maiden grew, not by the day, but by the hour. The village girls would visit, dressing her, singing, and playing games. By winter's end, she had grown into a girl of 13. She was clever and quick, as white as the snow itself, with eyes like forget-me-nots and flaxen hair reaching her waist. Yet there was no blush in her cheeks, as if no living blood flowed in her veins. Still, she was so kind and gentle that it made one's heart leap.
"Look, Ivan,"
the old woman would say.
"the Lord has granted us joy at last. My sorrow has passed."
And Ivan would say,
"Praised be the Lord. Joy does not last forever, but neither does sorrow."
Winter passed. The sun began to warm the heavens, grass turned green, and the skylark warbled. The girls gathered for the circle dance.
"Beautiful spring! On what have you come? On what have you arrived? On a wooden branch, on a garden gate."
But the snow maiden grew sad. "What ails you, my child?"
the old woman would ask.
"Are you unwell? Has someone cast an evil eye upon you?"
"Nothing is wrong, Mother. I am well. The last snow melted, orchards blossomed, and everything turned merry. But the snow maiden grew sadder, hiding from the sun in the shadows. Only when it rained, or at twilight, was she more cheerful. Once, when a storm brought hail, she took delight in it as if the stones were pearls. But when the sun melted them, she wept as though she might dissolve into tears herself. Spring passed, and St. John's Day arrived. The girls gathered for the festivities.
"Let the snow maiden come with us,"
they pleaded. The old woman was afraid, and the snow maiden felt a strange reluctance. Yet they could not refuse. "Only mind you look after her,"
the old woman urged.
"for she is the apple of my eye."
"We will, we will,"
the girls cried, taking her hand and running into the grove. There they wove wreaths and sang bittersweet songs. When the sun set, they built a bonfire of dry brushwood and stood in a line. They placed the snow maiden at the very end.
"Watch us,"
they said.
You must run after us. Do not fall behind.
They began the midsummer song and jumped, one by one, over the fire. Suddenly, something rustled behind them and gave a mournful sigh.
Ah!
Frightened, they looked at one another. The Snow Maiden was gone.
Perhaps she is hiding.
They said, calling and searching, but they found nothing.
Perhaps she ran home.
They thought. But she was not in the village either.
They searched for days, combing the grove, but of the Snow Maiden there was no trace. Had a beast dragged her away? No. As she leaped over the fire, she had suddenly risen as a light vapor, spiraled into a thin wisp of cloud, and flown into the heights of the heavens.